Hi, everybody. Welcome to TCCW Live. We are here with the one and only Brandon, and he is the on road trucker that has gone carnivore. So, as he goes by the highway health coach, we're here to hear a little bit of his story, get to know him, maybe discuss some topics, and see what kind of conversation pops up. So, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing all right, you camera hog. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we are definitely glad to have you. So, whereabouts in the world are you at the moment?
So I am currently in Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm back in the home state. I've been here over the past week. So I was here for all of the crazy winter snow that came through. So I hunkered down, got warm, took some steaks, and just enjoyed the ride.
Absolutely. So, is that where you're from originally, or not? Maybe originally, but is that where you live now? Is North Carolina?
So I'm originally from North Carolina. The If anybody's familiar with North Carolina, you got Central North Carolina, which is where Greensboro is. So
Mhm.
I'm from about 30 minutes south of there in Randleman, Richard Petty's backyard, basically.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so that's where I'm from. I'm currently legally domiciled out of Texas. So due to my previous past couple of years, I'm technically homeless, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for a truck driver because I've
I was
got my
about to
home
say a
right here.
trucker's never homeless. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So uh, that's pretty much all I'm doing right now. I'm just living in and out of my truck, well, pretty much just in it, and stacking up money. And gonna, my goal is to buy a school bus and live in that.
Nice.
Oh, nice, nice.
Oh
Actually, a
yeah.
friend of mine had one converted. He lived on our family property for years. He lives in Ocracoke now. So I live in North Carolina. I live in a cute little town called New Bern.
I know where New Bern is.
Yeah. so so all too familiar with all of those places. So we also have here today, guys. We have Coach Joe and we have Ron, the carnivore trip. And in case you don't know, it's because he is a trip.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So get into it a little bit, Brandon. How did you end up into the carnivore space? Like what got you switched into this lifestyle and how did you stumble upon this world? Because nobody just knows about it. We all just stumble in here.
Oh, it's a very interesting story. So I was right on the doorstep of 300 pounds, typical truck driver physique, had a big old gut on me, and all the symptoms that come with just being overweight and sedentary. So when I would go home, all I wanted to do was just lounge out on the couch, just like anybody wants to do after a long, hard day of doing whatever they do for work. They just want to come home and relax. So
Right.
I was staying out on the road for about a month at a time, and then I'd go home for a week. And for that entire week, even though not, I'm recovering from work and all that comes with being a truck driver, I was still very lethargic. I mean, I wanted to get up and do stuff and, enjoy life, but because I was sitting for 10 to 11 hours a day and living this extreme sedentary lifestyle, it kind of just flowed into my home life. And I wanted to get up and do stuff, but I didn't have the drive to, I didn't have the energy. I was always tired and lethargic. So I actually have a friend of mine who lives in Pahrump, Nevada. His name is Dave Champion. I keep forgetting the word. He's got a PhD in
Physiology?
physiology. There you go. Got a little tongue twisted there.
That's all
But
right.
he
That's a
wrote a
rough
book
one.
called Body Science, and I bought the book, and I've been listening to him for years with all of his other teachings. And when he published Body Science, I bought it and I read it, and it just made a whole bunch of sense on how the body reacts to what you put into it. And I know Coach over here knows exactly what I'm talking about. Um, you never really think, because of how you grow up and how the world teaches you things, that food is literally fuel for the body, and what you eat directly correlates to how your body is going to feel, grow, and repair.
Right.
So after reading that book, the way that he was before was keto. And he was keto for a couple of years, had great success with it, just like everybody else does. And then he went to the extreme and was full on carnivore. Started that, and he was carnivore for about, I think it was like 2 years before he published the book. So he had all of his new experiences with carnivore to come with it. And so I was like, well, I can't do keto because I've never liked vegetables. I wasn't really ever into fruits, but who doesn't love steak and chuck roast and hamburger, ground hamburger and stuff like that? So that's what I started adopting myself into. And being in a truck, um, it wasn't a hard transition because the trucks that we drive have these things called inverters, and it basically converts power into usable power for electronics and stuff. So, like in my truck right now, like that's where my cabinet is, where I keep my coffee maker and my air fryer. And I have a top cubby for an electric skillet, and that's really all I use, except for also this slow cooker, this Instapot that I got. And I got a chuck roast going in there right now that'll be done in about 7.5 hours. So that'll be dinner for tonight. These are literally the simplest things to use, especially out on the
Mm-hmm.
road for a truck driver whose main focus is driving all day. So I can set it and forget it type deal, which made it a whole lot easier to transition into carnivore. So about 6 years ago, I transitioned from a regular uh, truck driver uh, lifestyle and eating habits, which is truck
Which is
stop food.
insane.
Yeah, the truck stops and the crap food that they got in there. It's hard to navigate. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. There are some products in there that you can find that you can actually eat. And what I tell other truck drivers, you know, for people who are able to be at home like y'all two, you can cook, a good home cooked meal. You can go to a grocery store, you can find the ingredients that you're looking for to make these meals, and you can be as picky as you want to. We don't get that type of
Luxury for
luxury.
sure. Yeah. So I
So
was I was a cross country driver for years,
that's
and
right, you were a truck driver.
yeah. So that's why I was gonna say, like, please tell the people for sure, like, what's available and what's out there. It's so minimal. I mean, there's basically, like, you might get gut trucks and you get the little diners which they want to serve you every pie that's available, and they really really force it in there because they think that they're
Good old
being
iron skillet.
comforting. Yeah. Yeah. They think that they're being comforting and, like, giving you this home environment of dinner, but really it's like what's available is so minimal. And I think how you have pulled it off so far is phenomenal, especially somebody who lived in a truck 24/7. It's like,
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm parked over here at a TA right now in Candler,
oh,
just outside of
nice.
Asheville. And I
Nice.
went in there the other night before the snow got real bad and sat down and ate at the iron skillet. And
Yeah.
it's so funny because it doesn't matter if it's an iron skillet or a huddle house that's connected to a truck stop or
Right.
whatever. Their menus typically have those icons on it that show you, oh, this is healthy and this is blah blah
Oh
blah,
yeah.
and it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
all low fat and low sodium. And people flip out when I tell them how much salt I consume. Like, I've got a 25-pound bag of Baja Gold sea salt in my in my storage bunk underneath the
Yeah.
truck. Like,
How
I showed
funny.
that actually to a guy that works in the shop at my truck's terminal in Nebraska. I was They were having to switch out my inverter because I bought a 3,000 watt Cobra inverter for more power. And
Right.
I had this big old bag of salt that I set down. And when I was putting it back in, he was kind of looking at me. I was like, "You want some salt?" He's like, "No, I'm good. What is that for? Is that for the tires?" And I was like, "No, I eat that."
That's awesome.
I've got so much salt in this truck between that bag and the salt shakers and the 2 quart-sized jars of salt. I probably got about 30 pounds of salt in this truck right now.
Needless to say, your steps are always going to be okay if you get in a pinch, right?
Exactly. And that's what the point is. And that's why I like Baja
Mm.
Gold so much, is because you can buy a big bulk bag, and that works perfect for me out on the road because that bag will last me a year. And especially now that I live in my truck 24/7 now, like, I don't have to worry about being somewhere to pick it up when the mail comes in or all this other stuff. Like, I live my life ready to go. Other people will be able to get it, better because they go home, they have a home to go home to, and all this other stuff. So, and that's another thing, like grocery shopping for a truck driver is not the easiest thing in the world. Somebody, if somebody would invest in a truck stop that has a convenience store in it that sells fresh meat, if they could like partner with local farms or something, that'd be awesome. But my go-to on a regular basis is a Walmart. That's my best
Mhm.
place to go. Um, if I could get to these other Whole Foods stores, that would be great too. But a lot of them are smaller, so
Yeah.
the
And
parking
they're
lot's
not as
not as
easy to
big.
get to. Yeah.
Yeah, Walmart's always got those big super centers that a truck driver can just get in and out of pretty easy. So that's typically where I go to get all of my food. And I've got a portable freezer that's up on my top bunk that, God, I've got probably like 10 steaks in there right now. I'm cooking one chuck roast. I got another one in there and probably more pounds of ground hamburger plus some bone broth that I got some from Proven Proteins. They sell their bone broth in packets, so I can order those in, and I can just throw them up there, and they're good for a while. So
Nice.
my life is simple. Since switching to carnivore, everything has gotten so much simpler. My,
Mm.
I'm part of some truck driver cooking groups on Facebook, and all those
Nice.
people, you know, they've got all these different types of intricate utensils that truck drivers can use to cook on the road, and that's great. But I don't have the time after I'm done driving to do the other things that I need to do and cook an intricate meal that's also not healthy for me.
Right.
So, in order to just cut a pack of steak open, throw it in the air fryer, hit a button, do paperwork, flip it when it dings, go back to doing whatever I got to do, or do a
Yeah.
workout session and then get it out when it's done and eat, it makes my life so much more simpler. So,
Absolutely.
I've I was, like I said earlier, I was on the doorstep of 300 pounds. My gut's almost touching the steering wheel up here, and my body's
There's
aching, my joints hurt, everything's inflamed. I don't have energy. I'm tired all the time. I've got a freaking attitude because my body's, going through hell. So
Well, you're in pain,
everything's,
right? You're miserable. So that's what
yeah,
happens.
right.
I'm just pissed off at the world all the time and brokers and all this other crap.
Well,
Oh
well,
yeah.
Brandon, I
That's
have a
an
question for you. I have a question for you. So you mentioned you're 300 pounds. So where are you now, and how long have you been doing carnivore?
I've been doing carnivore. This is my 6th year. If
Awesome,
if
awesome.
if my math is correct, which it's usually not, but we'll go with six.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Doesn't have to be as fast. So let's say it's 6 years, and you started, you were 300, and how much are you now?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay. Well,
I
looking at
haven't
you
weighed
and seeing your
myself in so
pictures,
long.
yeah, looking at you and looking at your pictures, you're probably close to 200, right? So we could safely say you probably lost 100 pounds.
I do
Oh,
know
I'm
this.
sure.
Back when I
Yeah,
was able to go home,
yeah,
um, and I had a working scale, I dropped 100 pounds when I first started carnivore. I dropped 100 pounds in 4 months.
yeah.
So I was
Very
very
cool.
Wow.
strict with it.
Yeah, good.
I've dropped so much more weight after that. I would say a safe bet would probably be about 170, 180.
170. Okay, so that's awesome because you said some things pretty telling, which have been great. And I guess the thing people really need to kind of take a bit from your story, and I take a lot from it, is you know the simplicity of our lifestyle. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you look at your life and what you do, you're on the road, you're a trucker, you have limited stuff, but we all make choices, right? So you made the choice that this is what I have, this is how I'm going to incorporate it, and you made it work. And it works really well. But you didn't have to
And
get,
your way of thinking really changes too.
oh, absolutely. Well, we talk about it all the time, you're in a constant state of brain fog when you're all carved up. When you make those easy choices, those fast choices, the processed foods, like there's not much nutrients in there and it slows you down. So when you eliminate those and start eating your meats and fats, yeah, it just kind of opens you up and it makes everything a lot easier. But I just simply love the fact because over the years I've had clients that are truckers and they would be like, oh, it's so hard. And I'm like, well, it's not. It's choices. We just got to figure out how to make it work. And I love the fact that based on your life choices, you figured out how to make it work and it's functional. And it's one of the reasons it's functional. And we talk about it all the time is our lifestyle is simplistic to the point where you could eat two or three things. As long as you're eating enough, you're going to thrive and your body's going to get everything you need. And you don't have to go crazy. Right?
Exactly. And we have storage options in these trucks. Now, there are some companies that cheapen out on their drivers, and I've been with these companies, and it really sucks. You know, but there are still options for us to have storage for food. I've got a built-in mini refrigerator in this truck, which is great. I keep my eggs in there and some cheeses if I want to have taco night. Yes, I can still have tacos on carnivore. That ground meat and some cheese. There you go.
Yeah.
Um, but my portable freezer keeps all of my main foods. So you've literally got to change the way you think. And I think the worst thing for truck drivers when it comes to nutrition is the addictive behaviors that come with the food choices that we're so used to making. It's easier for somebody who's just getting into trucking to keep a hold of their health if they make right choices. However, somebody like myself who's been a truck driver for 13 years now, um, you know, gosh, I just that just rung a bell. Half of my trucking career was spent, being, in a bad metabolic state. So the other half of it was, reversing that and getting better. But then you've got other people who have been truck drivers for 30 years. And it's kind of like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. Oh, I've made it this far and I'm just fine. And it might be a skinny old truck driver and that's great, but look at how they move. Look at how they look at how
Hmm.
they think, look at how they're reacting. That all of that correlates back to nutrition because it's your as we all know, your gut is your second brain. If you're not feeding your gut properly, that brain's going to tell this brain, to be a jerk, pretty much. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and how these truck drivers are out here.
Oh
I used to
yeah.
be one of them. I'd be ready to fly off the rails in a minute.
Oh, it gets
And
it gets crazy, especially you start going up and like get into these smaller, tighter areas where you're like up in New York and stuff like that, and just all of the crazy, hectic, just stress of driving in those environments. And then you add the whole like mental instability with all of the chemical garbage you're feeding yourself. I mean, it's a wonder that there's not a lot more like rage issues that happen than what happens,
and
honestly.
I can tell you from my experience, with how I used to react to things, the that's been the biggest positive outcome of going carnivore for me. Yeah, my body feels a lot better. Everything feels so much better. But the biggest aspect of it is because people don't think driving is such a mental task
Oh, it's
that
exhausting.
my yeah, it is very exhausting, and that's where I think a lot of the rage comes from because you're always tired. You're not getting good,
Hmm.
adequate sleep in a truck. You're getting sleep, and that's not great.
Right.
And then you wake up and you're ornery as hell. So
Yeah.
that's been my biggest improvement is my mental state. So
Mm.
not only just the absolute focus that I have to keep an eye on the road and everything around me, but my reaction to the world around me. People are, out here being, absolutely ridiculous around a big truck. And
Yeah.
I've learned that that's just going to happen. I can't control how somebody else is going to drive. And since going carnivore, my mental state has improved so much. I just accept it better. Like,
Mm.
all right, he just did something stupid. Whatever happens to him up the road, that's on him. It's not going to affect me. I can slow down. I in these tight spots, like you said, in the burrows and stuff like that, or just even at a truck stop. I've
Hmm.
I've adapted myself to slowing down, thinking things through, being more accurate with my thought process and my actions. So the whole mentality that comes with switching your metabolic state is my biggest accomplishment because my life, like, people think, oh, I got high blood pressure because my job is so stressful. No, you got high blood pressure because you eat a bunch of, you know, pilot pizzas and Subway subs and all them Pop
Yeah.
Tarts and candies. Now, that's why your blood pressure's so high. And then your mental
Right.
state coming in with it is just going to drive it even more because you're out here raging on the roads. Like, I don't have any issues. I focus on my job and my drive, and ain't nobody gonna mess with that with me. So literally all across the board, my lifestyle has changed for the better.
That is
Well,
awesome.
probably
That is
even
awesome.
one of the biggest things I recognize with some of the individuals that I know that are truck drivers and some clients is just their energy aspect. They used to live off stimulants, right? You probably lived off
Hmm.
Oh
caffeine,
yeah.
sugar, nicotine just to get through your days and drive all those hours where, now basically you're using fat as fuel. Your energy's so much better and you get through your days and you probably function like $1 million and you don't need those things.
Yeah, and that's a big plus. One of my biggest go-tos when I was before carnivore, the thing that kept me going. I've never been big on coffee, but ever since Salter's coffee came out, I've been indulging in that once a day. But the it's
That
the
is pretty good.
sweet. It is, ain't it? But it's the sweets and the candies and all that stuff. That stuff kept me going. Sugar high and all that stuff. But then you realize you become so addicted to it. So
Hmm.
my biggest thing was Kit Kat bars and honey buns.
Ooh, honey buns. Yeah, especially on the road.
Yeah, yeah. So and since I've gone carnivore, I've had the ability to step back and look at my past life, and I would stop probably about 5 times a shift just to go get more honey buns and Kit Kat bars and cakes and all kinds of crap. And people don't realize the more you stop, you know, you're losing time. I stop probably
Hmm.
once a day now in a 10 to 11 hour shift. And that's really for just my mandatory 30-minute break. But,
Right. I was
you
about to
know,
say because your logs demanded so.
yeah, I mean, you talk about 680 miles a day, like the quicker I get to my desk, and I do flatbed. So typically when I get to a delivery, they're ready to get it off. It's not like these dock
Mm,
humpers who
yeah.
have to sit on a door for 10 to 20 hours waiting to be unloaded or
That used to
loaded.
drive me nuts because I hauled race the
Yeah,
trailer, and it would drive me insane. Or like somebody would quit and they'd be like, "Oh, we don't have any lumpers for you today." I'm like, "Well, I'll go do it." Like, come
right.
on.
All the workers went home for the day. Why didn't you tell me?
Exactly.
So for me to be able to stay in the truck and get to my destination, be unloaded quickly, that allows me to get to my next job. So that allows me to have a higher paycheck. I'm not stopping all the time. I don't have to use the bathroom all the time. Now, I will say this, we all know if you start into a ketogenic lifestyle, you'll probably have to go quite a bit when you start off. And that's the give and take. But you know,
Yeah.
when it slows down and it stops, you know, I can't tell you the last time I had to go take a number two somewhere. But
Just on emergency. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when it comes, it comes. But like, that's another thing that I want to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into
Pe-
it.
People, like in my spare time, like I used to haul dry van and reefer, so I know how the weights were, and I don't have a lot
Right.
of wait time anymore. So typically, when I do have time, I enjoy arguing with vegans. Um, if I could be a part of a vegan debate club, I'd be freaking president. But
That's
um,
awesome.
one of the other things that people like to argue about is, oh, you're only pooping like once every 2 days or something. That's not healthy. And then I have to tell people, I was like, if you sit back and you think about it, your gut is designed to dissolve food into its basic, you know, principles that the body then absorbs to utilize for whatever purpose they might have. So everything else that the body doesn't absorb, it goes out of the body because the body can't use it. So it's waste. You, why would you think that you have to put waste in your body in order to get fuel or any kind of utilized minerals out of it? So if you think
Right.
about it, when you eat all these vegetables and these fruits that we're not designed to ferment and use, and all these cupcakes and Kit Kat bars and honey buns and all this other crap, like your body's going to get what it can out of it, and then it's going to get rid of the rest of it. But if you eat a proper human diet like meat and fat, your body is able to absolutely digest that completely and utilize it completely. And it's going to have very, very little waste. So there's, it's, it's healthy to poop, but
Yes.
there's no real statistic on how much pooping is good for you
Right.
because the body's
Exactly.
doing what it's supposed to do. But if I eat properly, it's going to do less of that because there's less waste. I mean, make sense. Why do I have to poop 15 times a day in order to be healthy? And that's another thing
Well,
for a truck driver. You've got what, depending on where you're at, probably an hour between rest stops.
Hmm.
Like,
Right.
I don't want to have to pull over and stop and waste even more time. If people would actually realize how much time they waste by stopping, that's how much money people complain. Truck drivers complain all the time about how much money they're not making. Look at how much you're stopping. Look at how many times
Right.
you're having to go into a truck stop to refuel on crap. You're wasting money over there. I spent
Hmm.
$400 when I was home in Greensboro at my local farm. I've got about a month to a month and a half's worth of food. Plus, I got 2 dozen eggs. Like, I'm good for a month to a month and a half. $400 for one person for that long. And then you're out here spending $200 a day at McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, the Iron Skillet, Wendy's, all these
Right.
crap. Like, you, you, you really understand how much better life gets when you switch to a proper metabolic state. You
absolutely,
save
100%.
money, you save your body, you save your mentality, you save your wallet. Like,
And you know
it's
what's funny?
incredible.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny? You mentioned about the vegans and going to the washroom multiple times. If you actually kind of understand the biology and how your body's supposed to go, number two, when you're eating a high macro diet of carbohydrates, you should actually be going even more than what most people do, but their digestive system isn't healthy. They don't even go as they should, right? And you're totally right. The aspect that, you know, you're eating so much food that your body can only digest 25% of it. And that's what it is. And people don't realize with carbohydrates, the body can only digest 25%. So when you eat a cup of bananas, basically 75% stores in your body is literally shit, feces matter that has to come out. And technically, every time you eat it, it should come out. But most people are constipated because they're dehydrated and they're not getting enough water and they're not getting enough fat. So they don't go as often. And yeah, and the rhetoric is, oh, you guys are only going once every other day, once every 2 days, once every 3 days. That's so unhealthy. And it's like, well, it's funny because my digestive health's improved. I'm not bloated. I'm not constipated. I don't have to go. And I feel like $1,000,000. And when I do go, I'm in there for less than a minute, hardly smells. Sometimes you wipe, nothing's there. Where, I always told people, what makes more sense? You're in pain, you're in discomfort, you're in the washroom for like 2 to 5 minutes. If you lit a match, it would explode because it's literally so gaseous and it smells horrible. Where you're in for less than a minute, it doesn't smell, it's very little, and you basically go on with your day. And it's like, and they think about it, and then they're like, and then they're trying to think of something to say, right? Because we are basically told you need to go multiple times a day. And the only reason you need to go that much is because you're eating so much food that your body cannot utilize. So yeah, and in our lifestyle, it's the opposite. Depending on your digestive health, and for a lot of us, it's not the greatest when we start, but it gets better. That's why a lot of people even notice. I don't know, Brandon, if you notice, but probably from the first couple of years to the last couple of years, you're probably even going less now and less comes out. And that's because your digestive system improved, right? And that never happens.
Very much so.
Yeah, that never happens on a macro-based diet. You're either getting worse, more constipated, getting IBS, getting basically all these digestional issues. Like, how many times have you heard of a carnivore basically get a digestive ailment? How many get Crohn's or colitis or diverticulitis or celiacs or gluten intolerances? Well, we don't.
I've only heard of all of those being reversed.
Exactly. So yeah, that's always a fun one. The fiber one comes up always all the time,
Oh God, I love the fiber argument.
Yeah, fiber.
You're not getting enough fiber. Well,
yeah.
I've never liked vegetables to begin with growing up anyway. So my 34 years on this planet, I've never consumed fiber to begin with. I've got a similar story to Maggie White. I didn't like vegetables. I didn't hardly eat any vegetables. I never had fiber. I've been constipated, but that's because of all of the processed junk I ate and all the high sugar and content and honey buns and all that crap. But I don't have any of those issues anymore. No fiber, high salt, high fat, moderate protein, no constipation, no extreme bathroom visits. I'm like, this it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah. Well, the perception is fiber helps you go, right? And that's actually a falsehood, right? Fiber doesn't help you go. It does nothing. Fiber is a cellulose. It's a wood. It bounds up loose stool, right? It's actually an anti-nutrient when you get too much of it. Okay, yeah. It's funny. 7 out of 10 people walk around in North America with bloating, constipation, irregular bowel movements, IBS, hormonal imbalances, basically blood sugar imbalances. And if you actually look up negative side effects of too much fiber, it's literally all those things, right?
I actually have a study saved on my phone about the effects of too much fiber.
Yeah, so. And if you eat a diet of 60% from carbohydrates, the requirement for a male is 38 grams. The requirement for a female is 24. The average actually North American consumes closer to 48 to 60. And that's why they're having more negative effects than positive. And the number one reason for constipation is actually dehydration. Most people don't drink water, don't get enough salt, so their body's not hydrated. They think I drink juice, I drink coffee, I drink alcohol. And then you got these fitness bros and all these influencers. Well, when you eat an apple, there's water in there, you're getting water. When you drink a coffee, there's water in there, you're getting water. When you drink a pop, there's water in there, you're getting water. And what they don't realize,
else is in there?
Yeah, well, the thing is, that water won't hydrate you because there's caloric value attached. Anytime there's caloric value attached, your body has to digest, store, and burn water, your body doesn't have to digest, store, burn. Sometimes it has to cool it up or heat it down, but it doesn't do that. So it doesn't hydrate you. That's why most people's
Exactly.
issues with constipation is actually hydration. It has nothing to do with fiber. And in our lifestyle, when people say, well, you need fiber because you're constipated, well, no, we know in our lifestyle it's water, salt, and fat. Once you balance those out, uh, digestion wise, you're great. Your movements are great, right? So yeah, that's awesome. And obviously that would be a huge benefit in this lifestyle as an individual that you're on the road for like 10 to 16 hours a day. Yeah, the less time you're stopping, the better.
Exactly. And I like to give the analogy to people who have that issue with not being hydrated enough. So my analogy is, growing up, we've all been on a slip and slide. Well, have you ever gone down a slip and slide that wasn't wet? That's what your waste is like in your gut, and it's a long gut. That waste has to go through a lot of intestines to make it out. And if it's dry, of course it's not going to move very well. That's where the hydration comes into effect. But then if you're not getting salt, because wherever there's salt, there's going to be water, because salt attracts water. You can drink all the water you want to. If you're not consuming an adequate amount of salt to get into the cells to attract the water there,
Absolutely,
it's not going to
100%.
do anything either. So that's the analogy is slip and slide dry, slip and slide wet, and then slip and slide with dish soap. So literally, you want to make your guts a slip and slide that's wet with the dish soap. That's where the salt comes in. Us
Well,
truck drivers, we got low IQ, so you got to make it.
Oh.
I'm
yeah.
just a dumb old truck driver. What do I know?
Stop it, stop it. You're
Too.
doing awesome. You're doing awesome, brother.
I have a question for you specifically for the whole like trucker travel world. So when you're looking at exercise and getting any kind of like movement or activity in, what is it that you do to help promote that into your lifestyle as best as possible being on the road?
So my biggest improvement there was switching from reefer to, and for anybody that's not a truck driver, that's refrigerated freight. We don't smoke pot out here. Um, I used to be a
Yeah.
refrigerated hauler, and then I switched to flatbed. So the tarping, the strapping, the
Yeah, that's a
chaining,
lot more
all that
intensive.
stuff. Yes. So as a reefer driver yourself back in the day, you all you do is open a door and close the door, maybe slide some tandems, and
Yep,
that's it. I've got to
exactly.
climb all over my load, so I literally switched to flatbed specifically for more activity. Because being in the reefer side of transportation, I got so sick and tired of sitting right here every day, not doing
Hmm.
anything, and that's all I did. Like nothing. So I switched to flatbed. Hauling around 150-pound tarps all the time has really helped improve my stamina and my physique a lot, especially with preserving my protein in my body. But when I'm in between loads, I got an X3 bar system by Dr. John Jaquish. So I do high intensity resistance band training, and it's a
Nice.
whole body workout. So I do my squats, I do my overhead presses, I do my curls. All it does all the stuff, and it fits perfectly in this lifestyle because I'll show you. You know what a truck looks like. I don't know if Coach
Hmm.
does very well. This is my passenger area. I took that out. That's where the dogs chill out. But I've got a high roof truck, so I can literally have my hands all the way up. And this is my sleeper berth area. So this is my downtime area. I can literally stand right here and do all of my workouts. I can squat down and go back up, everything. So I used to have a mid roof truck, and that kind of made things a little difficult because you can't reach all the way up. But you can go outside and do that part. But inside, especially in these cold months, you can do so much with that, and that's why I love it. It's versatile for weather conditions. It's versatile for always being on the move. So, and it does the body well because it's high intensity and it's low impact. So if somebody's just getting onto a carnivore diet and they still have the achy joints, or maybe, at one point in time they had, some kind of reconstructive surgery on their knee or their hip or their shoulder or whatever, those are pretty common in the transportation industry. You know, that workout specifically does so well for somebody who's in this industry with those types of injuries. So
Yeah.
all around the board. It's just an all around great product, and I absolutely love it. I just keep the plate out by itself with the bar, and that's it right there. So whenever I'm ready to use it, I just get the bands out and I go to town. So
Nice. I've heard a lot of people have a lot of positive reviews about that, especially being on the road. I could imagine that that is unbelievably beneficial. I did flatbed truck for all of like 4 months, and I was like, nope, I'm over it. I did logs for an even shorter bit, and I was like, yeah, this is insane. Those guys are crazy. Um, not as crazy as the bull haulers, but I liked to run with those. Those were fun.
I've always wanted to get into bull hauling just because they got nice trucks and they go fast. And they're
Oh
ag
yeah,
exempt too, so
yeah.
that
That
would be
was
great.
that was
I This is actually
definitely
the second
fun.
time that I've done flatbed, and the first time I did it, I only lasted for 3 months, and this was
Hmm.
before I went carnivore. So I had the
Yeah,
big
it's
old
hard work.
gut. I was out of breath. Oh God, yeah.
Hmm.
So I turned my truck. I said, "Y'all are crazy. I can't do this." And what made it worse was that there were women in like their 50s and 60s at the company that I was working at, just
Right.
going circles around me.
Yeah,
I'm like, God, I
it's.
can't even keep up with an old lady. But I've been with this company now doing flatbed since July, so I'm on my sixth, 7th month. So I'm pretty proud of myself, and
Nice.
you know, it's been a night and day difference from doing flatbed the first time in a non-healthy metabolic state to doing it going into it in a metabolic state. It's been a night and day difference. Like I could stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well,
you
good.
know, we usually we get this thing that happens somewhere within a year when you're pretty consistent. You've been consistent where you start getting what we call excess energy. So what happens is you notice you want to do more physical stuff. You want to move around a little more. You want to do a little more. It's kind of hard to sit down. So I would imagine in your lifestyle, driving truck every day for that many hours, you would have got to a point where, like you said, sometimes you just wanted to move and do a little extra. So
I go
probably
through it every
having,
day, and it drives me crazy.
yeah. so and that's why you'll hear people talk about it all the time, especially people who have sedentary jobs. Like they have a hard time just sitting around doing nothing. Like they used to play on their phone on a break. Now they're walking circles or going up and down stairs, and you'll hear people that, I had 10 million projects around the house and never got them to done because I'd rather sit on a couch, watch TV and do nothing or play on my phone. Now they're like, the garage is getting cleaned out. They're putting boxes away. They're cleaning up shrubs, right? Like they're washing, their camper that's been sitting there dirty for 2 years, right? Like, so yeah, so that's awesome. And that's
I mean,
probably maybe,
that's the human way.
yeah.
The human body wants to move. It's designed to
Absolutely
move.
does.
Like back in our ancestral days, we literally walked the earth.
Yeah.
We went anywhere and everywhere, climbed on everything. Things that would make our parents just have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And nowadays, there was a quote, and I can't remember it, but it basically, in a nutshell, it goes: society has improved human life so much that it's deteriorated human life.
Oh yeah, I
So
saw that recently as well.
yeah, so there's been a lot of great things that have come with society, and the misconception with that is human life expectancy. Human life expectancy has only gone up with society because medicines are masking an issue to prolong life through that. Where if you just switch your diet and move some more, you would have a healthier lifestyle like our great grandparents did when they had to work the farm every day. You know, you live long. Coach, you might also know this. I saw it somewhere. The determination factor of life longevity is actually the power output that you're able to exert. It's not necessarily strength, but power. So it's just being strong.
Strong,
If,
yeah.
if you if you have a strong body, you will live longer. And if you're
Yeah.
putting the things in your body that it needs, you will live longer. That's longevity. So the misconception that, oh, we have a longer lifespan now because we have medicine and all these things. How were people still living to be over 100 before medicine?
Yeah. Well, in the funny things about that, yeah, what you're talking about is basically lean muscle mass, right? The more lean muscle
Yeah,
mass you have, the stronger you be, the longer you basically live. And the other thing you're talking about is we extended life based on medicines, but the quality of life really hasn't improved, right? Like if
and that's
you're
the
going,
big thing right there.
if you go into your 80s and you're on an oxygen tank and you walk with a walker and you're hunched over, what kind of life do you have? You're on medication, someone's taking care of you. The study hasn't come out yet, and I'm not big on studies anyway, but the study hasn't come out yet for US, but the study just came out in Canada that before the crapdemic, I call it the crapdemic, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it. Before that, the average age in Canada was 73. After the pandemic, the average age is now 66.
I'm
And
glad you brought that up. And
yeah,
if I can interject
yeah,
real
yeah,
quick,
go ahead.
the average life expectancy for somebody who is a truck driver is only 61 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get your CDL at 21 to go interstate driving, which is to travel the entire country, at 21 years old, you got until the age of 61 on average.
On average,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're losing 16 to 17 years off of the average human life expectancy today. That's big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. For sure. And and it's funny that study they determine is based on lack of socialism, lack of interaction, and mental health. They blamed everything besides consumption, what they're eating. And we basically know people either, made a change and got better over that time, but the majority of people just basically ate, smoked, and drank like crazy. And they've gotten
Welcome to
healthier.
trucker lifestyle.
Yeah, and they got, unhealthier through basically consumption of food, consumption of alcohol instead of better, right? And so, yeah,
Exactly.
it's simply amazing. And, it's funny because we always get told all the time, well, there's no, there's longevity not in the carnivore lifestyle because it's not healthy for you. And the argument is, well, first of all, we don't have any long-term studies to determine that. So how can you basically say that? But overall, individuals basically, when you actually compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, they're healthier, they're fitter, their blood works better, they're holding more lean muscle mass, less body fat. So it's actually the opposite. But only time will tell. We're going more and more into this lifestyle that more and more people are doing it, and people are basically thriving. We're just not surviving. And that's the difference. There's thriving and then there's surviving, right? Like, how many times, you hear people convert to a meatitarian lifestyle, carnivore or animal based, I feel like $1 million, right? Where in macro basis, people lose a little weight, they feel a little better, but they never have the same basically feelings, inflammation gone, basically, aches and pains gone, mental clarity, energy, sleep, right? So it's awesome. I just love the fact that you live out of your truck and you thrive in this lifestyle. And, you can make the excuses that it's hard, but it's really based on choices and making it work. And,
It's
because it's
self
funny.
accountability.
It is, and I've had clients that were truck drivers that actually told me it was harder to do a standard macro based diet where you had to basically control it compared to this one because it's actually pretty simple. Even if you go out, like my one client, he's like, I just go out and I say, can I have 6 hamburgers? And they're like, what do you want on it? He goes, no, just 6 hamburgers, right? And he goes, I make that choice. And he goes, I'll go out and I'll say, can I just have a dozen eggs? Right? And he goes, that's how simple you can make it. He goes, people just make excuses, right? And the reality is, I'm choosing to eat, but I'm basically just, and he was one of those persons too. He said, I had to admit I was addicted to food because when you tell yourself you can't go without something, you have an issue, right? And you just gotta, kind of figure it out and make it work. So I love the fact that, yeah, because you live in your truck 24/7, 365, and you're thriving. So that's phenomenal, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so that just shows that you can make it work and it will work. And it's just making choices. And you figured it out. And it's not, you know, it's funny. The first time I found out from a client that like your truck, he can plug things in and have stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're set. And he's like, what are you talking about? I go, I have guys that are traveling salespeople that they live at a hotel room that have nothing. I go,
Right.
they will have a harder time than you. I go, you can actually boil eggs, make a steak, like friggin', you have a fridge. Like they didn't even have a fridge in some of these hotel rooms, these traveling sales guys, right? So, everything was very limited to them. And
I
they
take
had
my
to
air
do it.
fryer with me in the hotel room.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Right.
and that's what it comes to. People just figure it out. I take my air fryer. I have a little stove top. I have a portable fridge. Like how many people now have the because a lot of people don't like their meat cold, right? I can care less. I can eat anything, and they have the heated lunch boxes, right? So
Hmm.
they just
Right.
start bringing those, right? Like so, it's like anything where there's a will, it's a way. This is your lifestyle. If where it's not your lifestyle, you just kind of make it work. So
I
that's the
just
thing that,
remembered something.
yeah,
There was a guy at my terminal that I ran into one day, and I was shooting the shit with him about carnivore and diet and everything. How I'm a health coach, and he's like, "Come here to my truck. I want to show you something." I get in this dude's truck. He's got his passenger seat out like I do. This dude had an entire like square base, not a rectangle, but square base, pretty tall chest freezer in his truck. I'm like, I never thought about that. Like, I can fit, quite a bit in my little freezer. Imagine having a quarter of a cow in your truck.
that's awesome.
Like,
That's pretty
I'd be
crazy.
set for 3 months in this thing. Like, where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
Mhm. So I have a question for you, Brandon, from
I might have an
one of our
answer.
from one of our Instagrams, Stefan the Dutch Carnivore. His question to you is, how do you plan your meals on Carnivore? That involves some planning, I assume, when not just stopping to refeed with all the crap. So how do you plan your meals?
You're gonna love this. Whatever I can reach from the floor in my freezer is what I'm gonna eat. I have my
Pretty
steaks
simple.
in the front, my hamburger, ground hamburger in the back. Whatever I can reach at the moment to grab is what I throw in the fridge to thaw out. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's only three things that I eat on the road, and that's ground hamburger, steaks, and a pot roast because they're the highest fat content that I can find. They are small enough to store in a compact place, and they're easy to cook. Like it would be awesome to have a rack of ribs out here, but I ain't got no smoker.
Yeah, that would be a bit
So
of a challenge.
I and that's another thing, Coach. You said something earlier. I forgot exactly what you said, but one of the biggest things I hear out on the road and just in general is moderation, or I've got to have a party in my mouth.
Yeah. Ugh,
It, tell me you're not addicted to food without telling me that you're addicted to food.
yeah.
Right.
Like I I don't know. I guess I'm just basic according to what my ex used to say.
Well,
But she's like,
but
I've got to have a party in my mouth. That's why I can't do
mhm.
carnivore. I want all the herbs and spices and
Well, that
okay,
sounds fun.
great, whatever. But like there's so much flavor in the fat on a steak, and
Yeah.
if you get a good quality steak, like it's delicious all
Mhm.
on its own. You add a little bit of salt to there, and it just pops.
Mhm.
Like I don't. I eat. I specifically eat to live, survive, and thrive. I don't eat to have a disco party.
Yeah.
In my
Well,
mouth.
you actually just said it. You eat to live. You don't live to eat, and there's a difference,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Absolutely.
unfortunately the issue is more people live to eat, and it's because they are addicted to food and they don't even know it. And we
Absolutely.
really did we lose Brandon?
I think we may have. That's all right. Finish what you're saying because that's important.
Yeah, so
So.
we really lost our way with food. With people have this thing that food should make me feel good. Food should make me happy. Food should comfort me. Food should make me feel euphoric. Food is never designed to do that. Food can taste good, but the reason I had a client once that said, "Well, God wouldn't have made food taste good, uh, for a reason." And I said, "God made food taste good, so you know if it was bad or not, so you wouldn't get sick." I go, "That's why,
Exactly.
we know if food tastes good." I go, "It's not so you have these feelings." I go, "Those feelings you feel of comfort, feeling good, euphoric, that's actually a food science thing, right? That's what food science did. They created that. So you got a mental, basically, or sorry, not a mental, a hormonal response of dopamine and serotonin and making you feel happy, right?
Mhm.
Um, I just had a conversation on this on one of my lives because a woman was on said she'd rather eat than have sex because she feels better with
Wow.
food than. And I said, well, I know now just based on that response that hormonally you're broken. And she's like, what are you talking about? I go, because that is a natural hormonal response that you should feel euphoric and feel great when you
Sorry
have a
about that.
natural thing like an orgasm. I go, but if you're having a better or a more significant response from food, I go, that just shows
Yeah.
how addicted your body is to it and how hormonally you're off because it should never be the same comparison. The joke used to be, you need to find a better partner, right? But we know the reality, that's not the truth now. We just know your body doesn't respond hormonally. And once again,
Exactly.
that's a food science thing and the food company thing. That is not a humanity thing, right? And we've really lost our way. Like, and even the spice thing, like when your body's overwhelmed, overstressed, your taste buds dampen. That's why so many people want so many spices, want hot sauces, because they don't have that sensation, that feeling. It's amazing how, in the carnivore lifestyle, after a month or two, your receptors rejuvenate, your taste buds rejuvenate. You don't require high spices, you don't require hot sauces. You can actually taste the food and you taste the benefit of it. And that's when we go through, like, when you crave something and it's not even a craving, you just have this feeling, I want a steak, right? And it's your body recognizing the nutrient density of the fat and it wants that and it likes that, right? Like it's funny when I think of if I want something and I'm not necessarily hungry, but yeah, I want a juicy fat steak or I want some eggs or salt. I crave salt more in a day than anything else, right? And it's when your body gets used to
Same.
that, it needs that. Okay. Hopefully we get him back. I unfortunately have to check because I have 1 o'clock. So it
Yep.
was nice being on, nice seeing you. If Brandon comes back, tell him it
Yeah.
was awesome meeting him. He's already messaged me. I'll message him back later
Okay.
and just
All
tell him I'm
right.
sorry I missed him. Okay,
That's all
awesome. Have
right.
a great day.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Selena, can you see me?
I can see you, darling. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? All right. Welcome back.
Sorry about that. My company called me with a load. I was supposed to get out on the road today, but all they could find was something for tomorrow. But at least I don't have to drive like 3 hours to go pick it up. It's just right here in town.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. And that's another thing with truck driving. People would lose their mind. Why can't you find something closer to me or find something today? Now I'm just like, whatever it is, what it is.
For sure. So somebody else has a question for you. Is the dog, which by the way, guys, there's two pups. Two pups in the truck. Are the dogs carnivore too?
God, I wish that they were, especially my older one. So the big black dog that I have, her name is Zoe. I've had her for like 15 years, and she's got all these ailments and stuff that I know that a proper, canine diet would fix, which is also carnivore. Um, Being that my storage options are what they are. I can't store enough raw meat. And, Zoe grew up on a standard, dry dog food diet.
Yeah.
I would love to switch them to carnivore, but I'm not going to do that while they're in the truck because that would be a big mess to clean up. And I'm not about to do that. So a dog will react the same way that a human will when they're switching over to carnivore. And you
Right.
get the diarrhea with carnivore because as soon as you put those salts and fats into your body hydrates and it releases all that stored water that you get with carbohydrates and sugar. So that's where the diarrhea aspect comes from. That's why you go to the bathroom all the time. So a dog will react the exact same way. Being that I literally live in my truck 24/7, I don't have a home to go home to for them to just chill out and have a backyard to run around in. It would be advantageous for me to go that route. So I just keep them on a standard dog diet. I know Zoe's getting old. I don't know how much longer she's got left here. She's lived a good life. If she makes it 3 more years, that'd be great. What's up, James?
What's up, Brandon?
Sorry, squirrel.
Hey, Selena.
But
Hi, darling. How are you?
being that Rudy's so little and he doesn't require so much food, when Zoe's no longer here, knock on wood that day doesn't come anytime soon. Zoe's like 15, Rudy's like 3. So Rudy's gonna be here for a while. I might try to transition him into a carnivore lifestyle. Just because he doesn't require so much, so storing food for him would be a lot easier.
What are you eating, James? Cookies?
I got some meat.
Oh, you don't say.
Attaboy.
Well, I know Coach Joe had to leave, so I didn't want to leave anybody hanging, so to speak. Obviously, the conversation was awesome. Oh, Philip's here too. Wow, everyone's here.
You're so shocked.
I lost
Hello,
y'all.
everyone.
I mean, I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Oh no. Oh no. It did it. It did it again.
Oh, I can
There we
leave.
go.
Oh,
Is it
Can we
me
hear
or?
I can hear now.
Okay. All right.
Brandon.
It does get a little wonky sometimes.
Hello.
I know I commented on one of your videos. I think it was yesterday or the day before. But since Hack Your Health in November, really, you've dropped even more weight. I know you said earlier you don't weigh yourself, but I'd say by the looks of it, we did a workout together at your truck. We were both shirtless, so I had a chance to assess. It looks like you dropped at least 10 pounds. What do you think?
Probably. Dude, I've noticed the more, like I said, I was close to 300 pounds. So I had a big old gut on me and whatnot. But, you know, I've got skin flab like crazy. It's ridiculous. But it's good to see that I'm getting that because that keeps telling myself that you're really starting to lose a lot of weight. Like I'm seeing the abs come through now. Like I haven't seen my abs, y'all, since I was in high school when I was on the swim team. I'm 34.
You're
A
a
long time.
baby. I don't know what you're a baby.
I would look like a baby if I didn't have this. So my ex was 6 years older than me. I wasn't allowed to shave my face. She said she felt like a pedophile.
I
I got a
understand.
baby face.
I understand. My husband is almost 9 years younger than me, so I get it. He's not allowed to shave either.
No, I at a boy. We're a lot of the same. Chasing them cougars.
Brandon, are you doing anything different though since Hack Your Health in November to drop the weight?
No, pretty much same thing.
That's interesting. I mean, has
My
the
life
weight
is so
continued to fall?
simple.
Okay.
Like I just eat, sleep, and work out. That's it.
Very
Oh, and
nice.
I consume a lot of salt. I really think the salt consumption when I first started carnivore, I put 2 tablespoons of Baja Gold sea salt into a gallon of water, and I would drink that gallon every day. So I went through a lot of water when I started out. And I think, because I know if you have low salt in your body, that can stall, excuse me, that can stall weight loss. It tricks your body into an insulin resistant state, which stalls the burning of fat around your abdominals and everywhere else. So I consumed a lot of salt all the time, and I really, excuse me, I really think that that's what really boosted my high weight loss starting out, like big time. And I've just kept my salt consumption up. So,
Nice.
oh, I
Nice.
just remembered something with when Coach Joe was on. I said something about moderation and all this other crap. I want everybody who's watching this video now or later on in the future to know the everything in moderation is not the full quote. The full quote comes from Oscar Wilde, and it's everything in moderation, including moderation. You don't
Wow.
tell, an alcoholic, oh, you can have alcohol in moderation. You don't understand human physiology if you're talking about moderation. I eat all I want until I'm stuffed. Like, that Thanksgiving dinner type stuff, that's how I eat. I stuff myself. I don't calorie count. I don't mess with macros. My body's not, well, I mean, my body is a chemical compound system, but I don't treat it like that. I give it what it needs and I give it all that it could ever want. And I don't worry about numbers and macros and all this other moderation bullshit. So it's literally the simplest way to live. You grab a steak, grab some hamburger, fry some eggs, make some bacon, eat it, live well, be happy. I mean, it does not get any simpler than that.
So how many meals do you typically have a day then?
One or two,
Okay.
depending on how I feel. So I do carry eggs. I do got some bacon. Um, so sometimes I might make some breakfast just if I feel like it. Um, and I'll fast for the rest of the day and I drive my 10, 11 hours. And see, that's another thing, everybody in the health space, when you're able to be at home and you just have a regular job and all this other stuff, it's easy to stick to a strict eating schedule. That's another luxury that truck drivers don't have because we don't even have a schedule. It's
Right.
whenever you got to pick up the load and whenever you got to deliver it, and you just make it work anywhere in between. So if I feel like getting up and making breakfast, if I've got time, you know, I'll do it. If not, I'll have one meal a day at the end of my shift. Or if I'm lucky enough, whatever I have out to be eaten for the day, if it's easy and quick enough to prepare, I'll cook a steak during my 30 minutes. But I don't do my 30-minute break until 6 to 8 hours after I've been driving. So I don't typically stick to a strict window. It's just whenever it's convenient for me to eat. I mean, I'm doing, a really good intermittent fasting. And sometimes I won't even eat for an entire day just because I'm not hungry. You live a sedentary lifestyle. You don't you don't burn a lot of energy, so you have the ability to work on what's already stored on the body. So um, typically I'll have a late dinner, and that might be steak and bacon, steak and eggs. It might be two steaks. It just might be a bowl of ground hamburger. It's whatever I feel like. Why are you getting in my pillow?
They're tired.
He's
He's
trying.
literally in
Dad's
my
not back
pillow.
here.
He's trying to put a scent on it.
He's literally climbing into the pillowcase. Like, you are ridiculous. Come on.
He's cold. He's cold. He said there's snow out there. I saw that white stuff. I'm cold.
Mm-hmm. He's a little baby. I actually rescued him. Vegans think that carnivores don't care about animals. This is a rescue. And he was being abused by another truck driver. So
Oh.
instead of whooping that guy's butt, I just took the dog.
That's
I
He
awesome.
have
couldn't
done
he
something
couldn't he couldn't be
similar.
more happier.
I bet. I bet. And I
I
love that
wouldn't
so
eat you.
I I think it's interesting with our dog. She just walked out. Otherwise, I would show her. She's at a 57 pounds, I believe, and which is the weight she was when we got her. But when we got her, I used the quote, "a round girl." That's my quote for her. Hey, round girl. Her name is Kona, and now she's 57 pounds, but this time a carnivore, and she's really filled out differently as we all talk about like fat accumulation in more proper locations. And I would say the same happens for dogs too. At least I would, I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah.
say so because her diet's changed. And so I weighed her just 2 days ago, and like Kyle was like, "Oh, she's the same weight when we got her." And I'm like, "Well, she looks good though. She looks more like just healthy, more stout and
Right.
healthy. It's really cool."
She probably has a better like hip frame now versus just being like barrel shaped.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how Zoe is. Zoe's around that weight. But I only feed Zoe once a day, so she stays pretty thin. But she's a big girl. I call her Big Head. She's half Rot, half Staffordshire Terrier. So she's got that big rounded pit bull head. And she's
Yeah.
my big headed girl.
Oh, I see another
Sometimes I
pup
call her
on the
Big Booty
screen.
Judy because she likes to throw her butt around.
Sorry. Dogs are funny. They have their own little personalities that way for sure.
They
So,
really do. This little guy, every morning, it's the same thing. I put my clothes on, but as soon as I put a shirt on, he loses his mind.
yep, no
And
more
then if I
cuddle
grab a
time.
jacket or a coat, oh my God. Arf, arf, arf. Like freaking crackhead.
Oh. Well, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and shut this one down. It has been an absolutely awesome conversation, and Brandon enjoyed it, loved it. Hope to have you on again here soon. And of course, thank you too for showing up at the end of the tail of this one. I always love seeing all of our members' faces and everybody who joins in and is a part of this community and just gives what this community is supposed to be, which is support and love and all the information and education as possible. And of course, you guys are going to see James on a lot more here soon, in case you guys don't know. But until that, on the flip side, we will see you guys again. So until.
Loved it and enjoyed it. I appreciate you allowing me to be here. If you ever want me back,
Absolutely.
just holler at me.
Holla, holla!
That's right.